Hello, my name is David. I'm the developer of World's Dawn. For anyone who might not be familiar, World's Dawn is a colorful life and farming sim for the PC inspired by the Harvest Moon series. You take on the role of a newcomer to Sugar Blossom Village, and it's your job to restore this old farmhouse that you move into. So you can grow crops, raise animals, you can go fishing and foraging and mining, you can make friends and go on dates and get married. There's really a lot to do, and the emphasis is on the slow, relaxed, kind of lazy pace of the gameplay and the charm of the world and characters. So in June of 2015, I ran a Kickstarter campaign to fund improved assets for the game, and what I wanted to do now was really show off all of those improvements. There are new character portraits, there's an entirely new soundtrack, and then a lot of polished graphics and gameplay as well. So I'm going to run through the intro of the game so new players can see just how much thought and time and detail has been put into every little piece of the game, and returning players can see how much polish has been added. So we're going to go ahead and launch right into the game here. Right away on the title screen you'll notice a few aesthetic changes. The tiles have all been updated. You'll notice the parallax in the background. There are mountains and trees that you can see now. The plot right here that you can grow your crops in is completely updated. Those are brand new tiles. And it really just helps the entire style kind of come together. It brings forward that bright, kind of cartoony, colorful feel that was always kind of intended for World's Dawn. And you'll notice the same amount of polish really went into almost every single graphic in the game, and it's really going to come together, I think, for you. So aside from those kind of cosmetic changes, there are also a few practical changes too, right here on the main title screen. The first one you might notice is right here in the little menu. Before we had people who would accidentally hit new story was the first option, and they would accidentally hit that if they weren't really paying attention or going a little bit too quick, and launch into the main cutscene, the intro cutscene, when you weren't really expecting to. So this will be a little bit better. More significantly, the water well is right here next to the plot, so you don't have to run down and transfer to the next map to refill your watering can. So a little change, but one that when added to all the other little changes, I think will streamline the entire experience. So we're ready to go ahead and hit new story. Previously there was the scene with the mayor and the mayor's son who would just kind of talk. You customize your character through their dialogue, and the scene was nice, but it was a little lengthy, so that's cut away. Now you get to go ahead and just choose your gender and some of these other options right away. You get to select your hairstyle, which is an option that didn't exist in the current version. You had to wait until much later in the game to bring back a character who could change your style. So now you can just go ahead and change your hairstyle right away, just give you a higher degree of customizability right off the bat. So these options are the same, men, women, both. We can choose who we want to romance, but again, just the choice is a little bit more clear-cut and straightforward, a little less confusing in the way that it's presented. The last thing, we just want to go ahead and choose our name. The default of Jillian is going to work fine, and once we go ahead and confirm our details here, we can just start the game and see all the changes. So this first scene mechanically works pretty similar to the way it worked before, where this character, this traveling merchant named Paxel, brings you to the overlook where you see Sugar Blossom Village for the very first time. But before, visually it looked very, very different. Now you get a better sense of the geography of Sugar Blossom, where there's mountains in the background, there's kind of forests in between, and then you're looking out over the bay of the ocean. Before, you really didn't have any idea of what the area was actually supposed to look like, so I think this is a vast improvement. And then there is the first example of the character portraits, the new character portraits. You see Paxel. What's so great about these portraits, the old style was charming in its own way, but they were generated with a generator. They were created all from the same base, so especially with characters that were supposed to be a little bit older or just have a different body style, or even the differentiating between the genders, there was some issues with them all kind of looking similar to each other. So now I think especially some characters get a much stronger sense. You get a much stronger sense of their personality and their individuality, and I'm really excited for you to see all of the new character portraits in the game. They really help bring these characters to life, and that was one of the main things about World's Dawn. That's one of the main kind of goals with World's Dawn, is to fill this world with charming and unique characters. So I think the new artwork really helps in that regard. So we finished talking to Paxil. We're on to the opening credits, and here is a completely different scene. After Paxil gives us his little speech, we get to actually control our character, so we can walk over to the right if we want, we can stop, we can go left a little bit. So just a little bit of interactivity and agency right here in the opening credits. So the controls here are given to you pretty much right away within the span of a couple minutes, whereas the old credits, it was a pretty lengthy cutscene where you had no control over your character whatsoever. I think now is as good a time as any to talk about the music by Eric Matias, as his name is scrolling across the screen. The entire soundtrack of World's Dawn has been completely redone, so it's now about 25 original tracks to the game, and they're all fantastic, and they all really work to give World's Dawn a feel, a musical audio feel that it didn't really have before. A lot of the same themes and a lot of the same motifs kind of permeate the entire soundtrack, and I'm really excited for you to hear all of the different sounds that Eric has created, and just how much they really help bring this entire setting to life. So as we follow Paxil into our home, you'll notice more changes to the graphics themselves. All of the tiles, like I said, have been completely updated. The biggest change I think you'll notice is the shadows on the ground here. All the shadows have been made a little bit thicker and darker, and it again helps bring that kind of cartoony, colorful style forward, which was always kind of the idea with World's Dawn. You did notice just there, and you'll notice again when we talk to Barley for the first time, the mayor, there are new sound effects for the characters. Each character has 4 or 5 different kind of grunts or laughs or gasps or different things that fit their personality, and again, it's just another way to bring these characters to life and give them a very unique sense of who they are through audio, through the new character portraits. It really helps bring them to life. You might have also noticed the new sound effects right there when we met Barley for the first time and that notification popped up. The entire sound design of the game has been updated as well. So sound effects from like the little beeps and boops in the UI and the menus and all that have been updated to better fit the relaxed and kind of peaceful style of World's Dawn. And you'll notice, besides that, a lot of the ambient sounds, so a lot of the birds chirping in the background, you'll hear like the river babbling or the rain falling when it does. All those sounds have been updated too, and it really helps bring Sugar Blossom Village to life in a way that it wasn't previously. So I think all these changes, none of them are vastly significant with the exception of maybe the character portraits and the music, but I think they all do a really good job of working together to make the experience something that's almost entirely new. So if you're a returning player and you're coming back to it, you'll really see the difference in pretty much every corner of Sugar Blossom. And for a new player, you can be confident that you're getting the most polished, the closest to perfect version of this game that I can make, thanks to the successful Kickstarter campaign and months of work that have followed. So we're going to go ahead and head into our home, and we'll get a few last second instructions here, and then we have full agency over our character. So again, it's very streamlined, it's a little bit snappier, and we're going to be taking control of our character within the span of a few minutes, whereas before we would have had to wait a little bit longer. So that's pretty much it as far as the intro goes. I hope you're very excited to go ahead and play it for yourself.
So I'm planning final release in early 2016. In the meantime, if you're interested in World's Dawn, I'll hope you check out worldsdawn.com. From there you can go to our Facebook page, which is probably the best way to keep up on updates. There's a forum where you can kind of meet and interact with other fans of the game and interact with me as well and make your own suggestions and feedback.
and then there's a link to play the entire game as it is right now. The spring, summer, and autumn seasons are completely free to download and play. So go ahead, check it out, treat it like an extended demo, and if you like it, hopefully early next year you'll come back and play the finished version. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your support.